Hi guys, my name is Christine and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach. And today I am talking about why you must push them away if you want them back. Now, obviously that sounds a little bit confusing because usually what people are thinking that they should do and their natural instinct is when they feel like they're losing someone, whether it's an ex or perhaps someone that they've dated that has lost interest, they feel like they need to do something. They need to actually try and, pull them towards them. And they may do that by reaching out to them, by calling them up, by apologizing, even if they're unsure of what it is that they did wrong. So everyone goes into action mode, right? And it's a trap that a lot of people fall into. I fell into it in the past as well. If you feel like you're losing someone and they're important to you, you want to try and do something, right? The last thing that you want to do is push them away even further. Now, when I say push, I don't mean push them away in a mean way, like say something horrible to them or anything like that. What I mean is when I say push them away, it means basically being firm with what you want. Because let's say you've got an ex who has told you that they don't want to be with you anymore, but perhaps you still really like them romantically. Or it could be that someone has put you in friend zone, right? Or even an ex has put you in friend zone, but you want something romantic with them, right? So you have to be firm with your beliefs, right? So if they say to you, look, hey, I just want to be friends, or hey, look, I don't want to be with you anymore, you've got to say, well, I don't want that. I want to be with you. So, you know where I am, basically, if you change your mind about it. Now, when I say change your mind about it, right, and, get in touch if you change your mind, obviously you must say that to someone, right? Because a lot of people get angry with me for saying that. And the reason why you say that, though, is only if you feel like you've actually lost someone good. Right? If you feel like you've lost someone who perhaps there was a big misunderstanding and that's why things kind of fizzled out. You shouldn't say it to someone, though, who has used you, who is trash, right? Who you're better off without. But if you feel like you've really lost someone good and you feel like there's actually a future for your relationship, even if things have fizzled out at the moment, then it's a good idea to leave that door open. Now, it doesn't mean that you're sitting around waiting for them to change their mind, because they may not, right? They may not change their mind. So you have to start obviously moving on with your life and trusting, basically, because when someone says to you, I'm not interested, or I just want to be friends with you, you have to believe them. You have to believe that that's actually what they want. Right, you have to assume that they're not coming back. Of course, it's always, like I said, a good idea to leave that door open for someone good, right, and say to them, well, let me know if you change your mind, right? If that someone was actually a good person to you and you feel like you really lost someone valuable. So it's a good idea to do that, right? It's a good idea to do that. But, okay, if they weren't good for you, if they were horrible to you, if they were mean to you, then it's best, obviously, to just walk away completely. So that's what I mean by pushing them away. You're not being mean to them or anything like that, but you're being firm with what you want. And the cool thing about that is that often it can make them actually change their mind about you, because you're being firm, you're being strong, you're not falling into basically what they want. You're being a leader. And that obviously displays a lot of confidence within you, which therefore is more attractive, right? Because everyone likes someone who is confident and doesn't bend basically to your will. And sometimes doesn't bend to their will. For example, with me. Before I made this video, I was thinking of a scenario in my life where this may have actually worked on me. So there was a time when I had kind of a mini relationship with someone. It lasted about 3 months. And I didn't want to be with her anymore because she was lying about lots of different things, really compulsive lying, really making stuff up, about having family members, having adopted siblings, even though she only had one sister, and things like that, and coming up with basically all of these massive lies. And another thing that was kind of suspicious was I never really actually met her family. She never introduced me to her parents and things like that. So I was suspicious about what was actually going on with her. Very, very sneaky sort of thing going on. I felt uncomfortable, basically. So anyway, we broke up, and either I unfriended her on Facebook or she unfriended me or something like that happened. I can't remember who did the unfriending, but eventually she re-added me and we started to talk again a little bit, and we was even arranging actually to hang out again. And it got to a point where I was thinking, do I actually really want to hang out with this person after everything that we'd gone through and things like that? But at that stage in my life, I was really desperate for a relationship, so I was like, oh, you know, really considering it. But I cancelled, basically. But if she had been more firmer with me, if she had stated basically what she wanted and was more like, you know, I want something romantic with you, I don't want to just be friends and things like that, then maybe for a while, obviously it would have ended eventually, perhaps I would have actually been like, okay, she stood up to me, let's continue dating, or let's meet up, right? If she'd been firm. And I was thinking, yeah, that could have actually happened if she had done that, but instead she bent to my will, did the whole wanted to be friends thing, and that's how that sort of happened, right? Obviously that relationship would not have lasted much longer, because obviously the lies were still there, I'm pretty sure, and I doubt she actually had changed and things like that, so that never actually kind of happened. And like I said, it probably wouldn't have lasted very long if we did end up seeing each other again in a more romantic way. But I was thinking about that before, and I was thinking, yeah, if she'd probably been more firmer with me, then perhaps I would have actually given her another chance, because maybe I thought maybe she'd changed or things like that. So these things can actually, when I was thinking about that, I was thinking, yeah, that could have actually happened. So you can actually get someone to change their mind about you by being strong, by being firm. Now, obviously, this kind of only will work if that person still has some kind of feeling towards you, right? When this was happening with me, you know, and that's the reason why I started talking to her again and we nearly met up again, was because I still, you know, it wasn't that long after we'd broken up, there was still some kind of connection there, even though it was very, very strained. So, because what's important to know, right, is that you can't really change your first impression, and you can't really change maybe an impression that you've made across, you know, with them during, you know, through time, you know, the reasons why they may have broken up with you or split up with you or didn't want to be with you anymore, didn't want to see you romantically anymore. So perhaps there were some things that you did to put them off, who knows, or maybe not, maybe they just lost interest. But the thing is, you can always, with all that, right, the thing is you can always leave a good last impression, right, which may change their mind. You can always, in a way, finish strong, right? So with that being said, then, you know, it's good to stand your ground in those last conversations that you have with an ex or with someone that you was once interested in, like a crush or like someone you dated who perhaps started to lose interest in you. You can always leave a good, strong last impression to make them wonder about you, because I'm sure, and I've seen this happen with me, is that you can actually have that kind of influence over someone in those last few fragile conversations that you have if you're strong about it, right? You can really have an influence over them, and that influence is the influence for them to at least have respect for you. At the very least, they'll have respect for you for standing your ground and standing up to them, for not wanting to, you know, bend to their will to be just their friend. Now, of course, there's nothing wrong with being friends with your ex or with someone who just wants to be friends with you even though you like them romantically. But if you can only see them in a romantic light, if you can only, if you can't be friends with them, basically, because sometimes people fool themselves and think, yeah, I can be friends with my ex, yeah, I can be friends with an ex-crush, but yet when they're in the presence of them and they're hanging out, they have all these romantic feelings start to come to the surface, and they start, you know, thinking about how attractive they are and things like that. So if you have that, right, if you know that you're going to have these romantic feelings for them, if you know that in your heart, then it's not a good idea to be friends with your ex, because, or with someone that you have a crush on, because it's going to keep you stuck. You still might have the what if one day, you know, we're hanging out and something romantic happens and you're clinging on to that, right? So it's a good idea to cut your losses and actually be firm with them, tell them the truth and say, look, you know what, I only see you in a romantic way. I can't be friends with you. I can't be still in your life when I have these feelings for you. So, you know, if you change your mind about me, then let me know about it. But otherwise, I think we need to cut our ties here. And, you know, then what you do is you wait and see what happens. Maybe they'll reach out to you. But when I say wait and see, I don't mean wait for them. Just give it time, right? See what happens over time. But while that time is passing, you should obviously be trying to move on with your own life. And like I said at the beginning of this video, believe the fact that they just want to be friends. Believe them when they don't want to be with you anymore. Because in that moment, that was their truth. They may change their mind in the future, but don't cling on to that, right? Don't cling on to it like it's a lifeline. Cut all lifelines so you can move on with your life. Right? So that's what I mean by pushing them away, to reattract them, to get them back, and walking away and all this kind of thing. It's the best way, it's the best method that you can use to, as well, to see how they actually feel about you. Because if they are afraid of losing you, they will reach out. They will say, okay, I've changed my mind. Or they'll just reach out to you. They'll be like, hey, how are you doing? And then you can say, I'm doing great. And then you ask them if they would like to hang out with you one day. Right, and see if you can progress this again into something more romantic. But again, you only give that line of, let me know if you change your mind about me, if you believe you've actually lost someone good, if you believe that you can actually make things work with this person. Don't just say it to anyone, even if they're not that great of a person and they've mistreated you in some way, okay? So thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to get in touch with me personally and you'd like coaching with me, then please go to www.christineloveridge.com, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye.